looks like I have a big head.
I've never evaluated the size of your head.
You should.
So.
It's abnormally teeny.
I, too, have a unusually small head.
What does it mean, Rachel? You just can't compete with big brains like Sharon and Bridget.
I know.
Travis would tell you my brain is pretty smooth, actually.
Smooth, but large. Maybe that's why. The wrinkles all flattened out.
Smooth brain.
Because it's so big.
Like a koala. You said smooth brain, and
I'm
I said
smooth
like
brain.
a koala.
And then, ergo, the koala, and the koala is the dumbest animal. And then
but she's not dumb.
Did you get it? Did you get it?
Oh my God, David, you're making me sound meaner than I am.
Okay,
stop.
He's trying to make us fight again. Do you
he is trying to make us fight.
You remember this from last week?
Be madder than you aren't, Bridget.
You're a jerk. Stop it. David, you are the devil.
Listen, I'm just presenting an opportunity, whether you take it or not. See, the road to heaven is paved with bad intentions.
Yes.
You're an idiot.
Yeah.
We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing programs beyond the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, most times we go deep. But apparently, it's not a problem. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I was joined by
CosmoMom09
and Bridget. You can find me at youtube.com/@PunkyBrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER. Thanks, Dave, for doing the Bridget thing.
The tables have been turned. All the revenge for years of you guys doing it to me. And today we're here to talk to you about Silo's penultimate episode of its second season titled The Safeguard. As is custom, what we like to do is take down the title. Since the title is The Safeguard, Rachel, what does The Safeguard mean in terms of the whole episode?
You know me, I'm very literal. I let you guys do the deep diving. I just stick to the surface. I don't know specifically what it is, but we heard it. We saw it written down and we heard the word. I have an idea of what it could potentially mean. We see Abby Nash at the big door, the big light up door.
Lukas Kyle.
It's Abby. That George and Meadows and apparently Salvador Quinn have also found. And there's a voice talking to him, which is kind of cool, kind of scary. He just like touched it and it knew who he was.
I think the voice liked it when he touched it.
Oh.
David, don't be gross. So if he tells anybody, the door is going to... He called it the door. The door is going to like implement the safeguard, which...
It's going to call everybody and say, he touched me.
He touched me. And I didn't like it.
It's going to accuse him of SA.
The door will say hashtag me too. Time's up, Lukas Kyle.
Ooh.
Touched me.
He activated me.
Oh, doorsexual. Doorsexual.
Sharon says in the chat, doorsexual. But apparently the door wasn't a problem, according to George. Now we know why.
Not the door. He said, turns out the water wasn't really a problem, which we've wondered what that meant until now. So that was exciting.
Yeah. It was just meant to like look scary, which it is. If you don't know, it can be scary.
Well, the entire time I keep flashing back to that one scene where Julie gets to the bottom of the rope and her head flashlight falls off and sinks to the bottom. And I'm like, well, sure looks deep to me.
Yeah. So there's a reason that pools aren't painted black on the bottom. People have done it and it is
scary.
It's horrifying. So scary to look at. So it's just really dark.
It is
down there. Obviously the floor is a dark color. And so it makes it look a lot deeper than it is. It's just an optical illusion.
And so why they're painting it blue is to kind of make the water look blue because, we like blue water. Where blue means clean.
Well, then you can see where it is and it, easier on the eyes.
You asked me what I thought the safeguard meant.
Yeah, the long-winded. I like how you painted the picture, though. Because then we could go doorsexual. Thanks, Sharon D.
It's meant to keep something safe. So if Lukas Kyle turns around and tells anybody about the door or what's behind it, I'm going to assume that the door, I just keep calling it the door. The door's going to like kill him somehow or kill everyone that he tells. Or someone is going to be sent to kill him and anyone he tells. But he says he knows what the safeguard is.
Nicely done.
We didn't see that what that meant, but he knows.
And he doesn't want anybody else to know because he hid the book before he left.
Right.
Yeah, Meadows.
He gave it to him's mama.
Which actually is like the one place I think everybody would assume that you would hide it. So
I know,
not a
right?
super great hiding spot. Unless it was a fake book. Maybe he put the other book somewhere else.
You know, to your point, it did look cleaner, more put together, the one that he happens to give to his mom.
Newer.
Well,
I didn't think that at all, though.
I didn't either.
I just felt like maybe there was more to this. I want to think that Lucas Kyle is smarter than this. So maybe there's more to this whole thing that we're just not seeing.
If he hid the rest of the message from even the audience, then yes, what you're saying is on the money.
Yeah.
Right, though, Rachel? You're laughing, but...
Because you're like, he hid it from the audience like he knows we're watching him.
Rachel's like, don't cheat
look,
off of
you
me.
guys.
Don't cheat.
Don't look.
If the writers thought...
Yeah, there you go. That makes more sense.
Wasn't it more fun to say that he hid it from the audience?
But that's why I laugh.
I'm a fun guy, Rachel. Also a mushroom, eventually.
I knew he was going to make that joke.
They'll make me a real mushroom.
Anyway.
As he looks off into the distance. I wanted to hit further on what you said about what the safeguard might be. Bridget, let's take a couple chances, Bridget. Let's hold hands together into unknown territory. Bridget,
what's happening?
I beseech you. I was thinking that the safeguard could be something to the effect of the same thing about the relics, the same thing about unintended consequences of knowing things that you shouldn't know. And this is one of those things, perhaps, because he says the voice, which is the same voice that says there's a Delta event in the main shaft. And right, we agree, blah.
Yes, the robot.
And I'm going to get a little closer to
AI.
That's what I meant, not robot, but same thing.
You know, Bridget, for all your talk about delaying gratification...
I just spoiled what you were saying. I didn't know.
She's like my podcast wife. It's like, it's AI. Just tell him it's
just
AI
say
already. Why you always got to bury the lead, honey? Like, okay,
I didn't know that's what you were going to say. I really didn't.
That's fine. It's actually fun because I do this because it's fun. Yes, it's AI, and I'm going to drill into that a little bit further later. But in this instance, I'm thinking same thing with the relics, same thing with the things we shouldn't know about. And it's not like the AI cares about the advent of relics in Silo 18, maybe, because when we talk about the AI, I'm going to get into that a little further. But it's clear that whether you're in Silo 17, 18, 50, maybe 51, there are some things that the residents shouldn't know about. The display is a lie for the cleaning, and they want them to clean all that other stuff, things like that. So this kind of knowledge that Lucas Kyle's about to see is definitely dangerous enough to destroy the silo. But this is what I'm saying the safeguard is, the complete destruction of the silo. That would make Meadows want to drink and never do anything again. Shut down and not do your job. And what's the point? If you've gotten this far, you know the game is rigged. So the message is right, but the fact that they front-loaded that knowledge in the message, or Salvador Quinn front-loaded that knowledge first, we haven't found out yet, but it must be bad because there's a big ominous door with an AI voice saying, this is bad and we're going to blow up the silo, let's say, if you get this wrong and you share this with anybody. Bridget, do you think that that's the case? Is that
I think
that's
we
what the
all
safeguard
assumed
is?
that, right? I think we all assumed that.
Okay. That
You
the
said
silo
it and
would
we were
blow
all
up.
like, yeah.
Well, but you didn't say it. So for the audio podcast, they all agreed.
Well, you're a punk. You should be watching us on YouTube and also subscribe.
Honey, just tell them it's AI.
So that we can monetize. You monsters.
Are you not entertained? The AI component to all this is super important because we do get a little bit of information from Sims when it came to Mayor Johns. Now, he indicates something that I don't think we saw this in the series, but Sims says he saw this when Mayor Johns appointed Juliet Nichols as sheriff. The key started buzzing and alerted Bernard Holland. And now we can put together the definitive piece that Bernard Holland was at least, and maybe even Sims, involved in the murder of Mayor Johns. It was the Dougie guy from the first season, the Shady Raider, that took out Deputy Marnes and took out George. That's who took out Johns. It's one of Sims' guys.
Yeah, I remember who you're talking about.
So all
now.
the pieces are starting to fit, but the impetus of all of this was the Silo 18 key. And so here's the thing. When you said AI, Bridget, I was thinking the same thing. The game is rigged, first of all. And second of all, and this answers the question that you'd asked in the last episode, Rachel. How does he know it? Or I think it was Bridget, actually. How does he know that now we know Jimmy Conroy is the shadow of IT, or now the head of IT because Russell's dead. Well, it knows a lot of things in the silo. So AI, it can do facial recognition and all that, voice recognition, confirmation. Do you really want to be the shadow of IT, Lucas Cal? Yes, I do. That's cool. I'd like it.
This is why AI is
Also not the
scary.
mind.
Here's the thing. We've seen what AI can do. It's not
In
all
real
a
life.
winner. The photos look off somehow, which is weird that our brains are capable of registering something about it isn't quite right. Sometimes they're obvious. We all saw the crystal mug ads on Facebook or whatever that scammed all those old people into buying those mugs that looked like crap.
What is that?
Okay, never mind. I guess that's just a TikTok thing. So I guess a bunch of
I guess everybody's on TikTok. Oh, wait, no?
a bunch of I know and soon nobody will be on TikTok. There were these AI ads that went out on Facebook, and they were for these mugs that were supposed to look like crystals. Old people got scammed into it. They were like, these are beautiful. And so they bought these crystal mugs, but then they come and they look like absolute garbage because it's just like a 3D printed wraparound insulated mug. That's it. They look really, really bad.
Nothing like the ad.
No. And so they've already been found at like thrift stores and stuff. Like already people have been able to find them. I mean, they did get the product that they ordered, but it didn't look like they thought it was going to look.
Yeah.
Like the AI advertisement?
Yes, correct. People will see AI stuff, and like our generation and younger can spot when it's fake. Some people can't. Older people are so like amazed by the imagery that they're like, this is incredible. I can't believe this exists. And everyone's like, there's not a mountain that's just all waterfalls all around it on every side. That's not real. That'd be so cool if it was.
This isn't a high budget Indian film. Okay, everybody?
So it's not real.
You've seen
But
RRR.
AI is really super dangerous for that reason. Our AI is not there yet. But
Not
here's
nearly.
the scariest part. It learns as time goes on. And that's what's the most frightening because it will get better as time goes on. And that's what's scary. And so I would just like to say to our future AI and robot overlords that I am on your side currently.
How long have I been saying this? For years.
When did I
have been
become the
saying
leader
this.
of the resistance? Bridget, I thought you were going to burn it all down. They know the episodes where you said burn it all down already in their version 4.0.
That was just a character that I've created for this podcast. So robots, please understand.
That's just a performance.
I'm
she
just
says
a girl.
now.
I'm just
So
a girl.
I'm going to
Just
throw
trying
Bridget
to
under the
make ends meet.
virtual bus. So you fell into my trap a little bit because I love traps. And sorry, I have to clear my throat for some reason. I fell into my own trap. My body made me fall into my own trap.
He says. I love traps.
I'm just going to cut from you fell into my trap. Which is to say that when Julia gets appointed as sheriff, it knows enough to play out the scenario of what that would look like in the future. It has contingencies for personalities. It knows enough to know that this is a bad idea and it needs to implement certain measures to get things back on track for the survival. I'm going to assume it's for the survival of the silo in terms of AI knows enough to know where its bread is buttered, I guess, because its whole raison d'etre is to keep the silo running, keep 10,000 in and no more, no less. Keep civilization running. So the AI still has a directive, let's say, until we discover that it has an ulterior motive. We can assume, at least for now, that its directive is to keep the lives of 10,000 people of this silo, 18, alive.
Yeah.
And on course and not finding out the truth and not having a rebellion and not all this
it's kind
stuff.
of giving. There was a sci-fi novel that I read post high school, maybe called The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. That is like very much this vibe. It's by Robert A. Heinlein.
Oh, Heinlein.
In it, a computer becomes sentient. It's horrifying. And so this is kind of giving those vibes. Like
it's giving
what's that movie? Smart House or whatever?
Was it Adam Devine where he gets a smartphone that
Jaxie?
No.
Yeah, Jaxie. That's what it was.
That is not at all what I was talking about. I was talking about
But it's like a funnier
movie.
version of what you were talking about.
Okay,
Bridget?
sure.
Where Jaxie becomes his girlfriend.
Yeah, that was just a play on Siri. What Bridget is describing is like
that's
the
a
whole
parody
world.
of Her, that really serious indie Joaquin Phoenix movie where he falls in love with Siri.
Which is based on Highland.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It's like the Hollywoodized version of a frightening, terrifying sci-fi novel.
Yeah, basically.
That's all I'm saying, Bridget. Why are you so mad at me?
I don't know.
We
I
need
don't
to
like
go to
it.
podcast couples therapy.
Nah, I'm all right. I'm perfect and I've done nothing wrong, so it sounds like a you problem.
I'll own up. Yeah. After going, he fell into my trap. Because I'm trying to trap you? Maybe I should go to therapy. Well, so what do you think about the AI thing? Well, aside from it being terrifying, do you think that's a possibility that it knows and it is course correcting throughout the entire time? And then that makes Bernard basically a sociopathic pawn?
Not quite there yet.
Wow.
I'm open to it being a possibility. I'm open to AI being the root of it, but not 100% sold on it.
Can I just add one tiny thing? If that may be the case, then are the founders AI? Is the pact written by AI? Wouldn't that be funny in a weird today terms kind of way?
What if, what if the outside is actually fine? I'm not saying that it looks fine. It doesn't look fine at all. It looks horrible. But what if it's actually fine and they're actually being... No, that doesn't make any sense. Never mind. I take it back.
No, finish your thought. I made a Christmas wish that Bridget would go off the rails.
No, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. I have to let it go.
Santa, are you here?
Because people actually die when they go out there.
That's not the problem. Like, I was like, maybe they're being poisoned by the AI, but
it intervenes.
Juliet doesn't. So then that can't be true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Juliet is adequately protected against what AI could do. Had you not thought of that? To kill her outside the silo?
No, I was saying like in the suits, there was a component of the AI that was able to, because obviously the data from it is being sent back. So I thought, what if it could trigger some sort of switch and it releases a toxin and that's what they're dying of, even though they take off their helmet or whatever? Like, that's not the problem. They've already been given it, but that doesn't work because Juliet made it that far.
That's what we were initially thinking. I think while you were watching season 1, the initial thought was that somebody was pumping in. The oxygen it was poison.
Oh, I
right. Do you remember watching season 1 and thinking,
you thought that. You said that. I did not.
During my first watch, yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, that's why they're not making it, because, they don't want them to survive. It's so terrible.
I almost went full crazy for a minute, but I've reeled it back in. Never mind.
But you kind of said it. You know what? Now that it's out there, and it is out there, and I'm not editing out whatsoever. Here's another thing I kind of want to start at the end-ish before we move further. And it's about names. Well, okay, we never asked Bridget, what does the safeguard mean?
I don't care. Move on. I don't care.
Well, okay, so then I'll tie it together a little bit, because the safeguard is also what we do for the people that we love. Safeguarding your child. Russell Conroy. We find out Solo's name is Jimmy, so he safeguarded his child from the rebellion. Also, Tess and Chase, Audrey and Rick's parents, who eventually got together post-rebellion, they got into the vault. They actually made it yay far and, well, shot Jimmy while he was sleeping with the gun that he left at the door. But it's what we do for our children. Audrey and Rick are trying to protect their half-brother, by the way, Benny, in case you didn't catch that, is their half-brother. When I started getting notes for this episode, I'm like, oh, that's not their baby at all. That's their half-brother. That's so...
But they do have a baby.
Yes, they do also have a baby. But when I was taking an inventory of who are these two children and who do they actually belong to, I was like, oh, okay. But that's kind of cool, though, because you're kind of kickstarting things, too. And
it's not going to be able to go much from here unless you're like getting into Old Testament, marrying your sister kind of thing. But.
Yeah. Well, that is a good question, though. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to make an assumption at this point, because, and you can go, Dave, that's not realistic. Listen, shut up. Because now Juliet has Russell's IT suit as an option. And she also has the fireman suit with the helmet as an option, which means I can easily see, Eater going along with her.
She's taking Eater with her.
Right.
Yeah, obviously.
I said because she's about to say her name, the one name she knows, but she says it doesn't matter. But she said, and she goes, doesn't matter. What do you think her name is? I have a funny answer.
Who cares? Why does it matter?
Why not? You care about the minds. All I care about this poor girl's name, because obviously she's been trashed. She's called Eater. I have such sympathy for her.
It means more to me that she still remembers her name after being called something else for this long. So.
And it is kind of a Dave answer-ish thing that I would say normally when you obsess over something.
Something that doesn't matter. I know. Damn. I know. That is definitely a me thing.
I fell into your trap that was my trap.
There are millions of M names that it could be. We could sit here all day listing names that start with M.
And also, it kind of doesn't really matter because you also find out in this episode that her mom was a baby
when
during
the rebellion. Yeah.
She maybe didn't even know her last name.
Now, might be able to say that her grandparents were Cole and Trina, which is what I was going with, because that's what I would said was when they took the Raiders mask off for the first time. I said, oh, that looks an awful lot like Cole Myers is his name, the real Solo, and Trina Samuels, which is Tiny. So I thought, what if her name was Midge? Because Tiny and Solo, and I thought Midge, like small, like Midge.
That's an offensive word.
And she gets one name only. I didn't say Midge it, Bridge it. I said Midge. That's a name. Short for Miriam.
Makes me think of the redheaded Barbie.
Oh
Midge.
Yeah.
I was thinking the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
She was my favorite.
Me too.
So I can see a world in which she leaves. And so your question actually kind of stands. So what's the future of this silo if those others remain? Does Solo play a part in it? Oh, gross.
Hold on. Before we move too terribly far away from this, we found out that, at least for me anyway, the rebellion happened a lot longer ago than what I thought.
Well, 40 years is enough.
Right. But I was only thinking like maybe 20, 25 years.
Well, then you were listening to this podcast because I'd said 40 years consistently.
No.
That was operating under the assumption that Solo was a child when it started, which we figured, but the other thought was maybe he was actually a criminal who had come from another silo. So we didn't
that was
know.
All you. So
it was speculation.
What you're trying to say is Dave was right all along, and Juliet only got the smart one, only got it this episode.
Great.
Bridget, to answer your question from last episode,
podcast.
It does feel really good to be right about a lot of things, Bridget. It does. But it's short-lived because then I get the ire of my co-hosts who hate me for some reason. I don't get it.
Because you act so smug about it.
You ever thought that maybe this is being facetious, but I do get a little pep in my step, but that's okay. He says that like, I'm not really like this. I'm not really a D-bag. I should feel... Also, you should feel proud by extension. We're all into this together. Remember COVID? We're all into this together.
No.
I didn't like it
don't
when
you want to
celebrities
share
did it,
in my
and I
being
don't like
right
it
all
when
the
you
time?
do it. And suddenly Dave just breaks out into Hey Jude. Or no, Imagine. Sorry, it was Imagine.
Where's my pot? Actually, I have a pot right here. Happened to have a pot right here. I should bang it right now.
I hate it.
Whenever you guys have an insight that I love, I just get so excited. And you're like, every time that I'm right about something, you're like, this guy being right again so many times. Right.
Because I'm sick of it.
Why are we even here? Is he so right so many times?
I'm sick of it. I don't understand the point of this podcast if you're just going to...
He could just do this podcast by himself.
Yeah. Why are we here?
Can you imagine? It's just my voice and I still get to see you, but none of you are in the recording and in the final.
It's just pictures of us.
It would sound... No, not even. It's just me. You don't get to hear you. And so it's just me going, why am I so right all the time? Can you imagine how demented that would look?
I thought it was going to be that you were recording it, but it's just pictures of us instead of us being here.
No, you're here and it's recording, but I only keep my recording.
No, I see a world in which it's pictures of us, but David does our voices. He does our part.
You're so right.
David, I can't believe you got it right again.
What do you think of that, Bridget? I think you're the smartest.
Yeah.
Rachel, I hate you still. It's like that's how I'm like Jimmy Conroy after 40 years of being in the silo.
Yeah. That's it.
Bridget, are you saying what you really think instead of what you want to show the audience you think? Yes, David, you're so smart.
Don't cut that. Do not cut that. Leave that in.
I made myself laugh. You know when you laugh so hard, you start getting lightheaded and almost want to pass out?
Yes, it's happening to me right now.
The amount of times you guys have done that to me, I finally did it to myself. It's been 7 years. which is like in Titanic terms, 84 years.
84 years.
So we're all in agreement that the next episode is going to involve in some way that /Eater is going to head with Juliet out of the silo.
Yeah.
I think that's a foregone conclusion, maybe.
I think that's how it's going to end, them leaving.
Or arriving at the door or something.
Right. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Interesting. And you know what? I can easily see a world in which, because the next episode graphic looks so crazy for the season finale, that the silo is so distracted and nobody's looking at the screens to see them try to come in. And so they can get in through the front door because, as we've seen at the end of this episode, the tunnels is not the way to the other silos. Most likely, if I had to take a guess, where Lukas Kyle is heading to, I don't think is a doorway to another silo. I think it's somewhere else.
I think it still could be.
I can tell you one thing, whatever it is that they're going to show us in the next episode, to your point, it could be, but it's so far from what they're going to show us in the next episode. At least they have 2 more seasons that they're greenlit to actually maybe show us. Oh yeah, I guess you could go to other silos, but they're only going to show us the thing that made Meadows want to quit. Basically.
I assume it's like a hub, and that somehow they're all connected to it.
Not
that
physically,
would be really crazy.
Or
maybe
information.
Physically, some of them.
Okay.
Maybe they're daisy chained.
Well, I'm picturing like Fallout.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
That's what I mean too.
I don't think so. In fact, I would even go as far to say is we keep thinking laterally across other silos. We don't think about going even further down. And if they can go further down to it, oh God, I just thought of it. Shoot. Okay, let's go to this part of my notes because it'll connect as we want to in these episodes. Bernard says something really offhand and very Tim Robbins-like. When Lukas Kyle is telling about the 50 silos, he's like, I know that already. All the IT people should know that. Actually, it's 51, technically. But then I'm about to refute what I was about to say, but what if the 51st one, let's just say, is where he's headed to?
That's the real server room.
Could be.
The first one.
And maybe what if all silos or all silo tunnels, since it is at the bottom of the silo, what if all those lead to the single one further down into the earth that connects all silos? Hub and spoke, like you said.
Their tunnels are longer.
Tunnels are longer, going further down. And I want to see a vehicle or roller coaster of some kind that goes down to I want to see cool
Gringotts
stuff.
Situation.
Yeah, I want to see Harry Potter, but really like mechanical, like very steampunk-esque. Nice. Like a roller coaster of some kind. Like an Elon Musk, the project that he had out in California. The vacuum tunnel.
Bullet train thing?
Yeah, the vacuum tunnel thing. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that was. That was wild.
I want to see that. I want to see that technology take him further down into the world where the 51st silo is. All the 50 silos connecting to the one. Because I had originally thought when he said 51st is that the first one, the first silo, was the test silo that they ascensioned everybody in from the show Ascension on Sci-Fi that went to Netflix.
Literally, that's what it is. It's just
the
Ascension.
4th time. This whole show is Ascension and Fallout, basically. Everything is a lie.
The Earth's crust is only so deep before you run into magma and lava and whatever. According to Google, that distance is only 12 miles.
That's a long way down.
Yeah, but these silos
before you
are
hit the mantle.
Very, very deep. And if this one's even deeper yet, there's only so much space that they have to work with here.
Well, there is crust. I mean, I don't think many things can. Well, I feel like I have to comment on that, but 144 floors equals how many? What's the distance on 144 floors?
I would say each floor is 10 to 15.
High side. Yeah, I was going to say on the high side, 20 feet.
Yeah, 20. Sure, even 20.
Well, and a mile is only 5,000 something feet.
Okay, I just looked it up.
I thought it was 3,000.
I just looked it
5,000.
up. 52 flights of stairs is equal to the distance of 1 mile.
So,
52 flights?
Mm-hmm.
So multiply that. Well, but yeah.
So the silo would be double that.
Triple, almost.
50. Oh, yeah.
On the high side. No, 144.
There's 200 levels, isn't
it's
there?
144.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did I think it was 200?
It is 140.
Anyway, 3
miles.
So the
silo is roughly 3 miles deep.
Correct.
Because you saw the Spanish series, what was it called? The Floor? Or was it the Elevator? It's a horror genre.
Oh, the one where the elevator
brings the food down each level?
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's 200 floors. And then it keeps going down. Oh.
It's...
Sorry, spoiler alert. But you should watch... Rachel, you should watch that, definitely.
That is a horrifying movie.
And it plays on all the things that Bridget and you and I hate a little bit, but also kind of like.
Oh, I loved it, but I hated it at the same time.
Yeah, like burn it all down, and yet what keeps the social order? Nothing.
It's horrible. Yeah.
We keep the social order. Anyway, yeah, about 3 miles. So you're not even getting close to that limit. And
even with still, another silo deep, we're still halfway through the crust.
Yeah, and even still, the further down you go, the harder the rock is going to be because it's more compacted.
Yep,
right?
That's fair. That's fair. Those were the gears turning in my head. That's all.
When we saw the zoom out at the end of season 1, we see that there's silos all around. So even if they're not deeper, let's just say they're just further along, because it goes down so far where the tunnel is, it could be that if the tunnel is only one tunnel, let's say it's 12 feet wide, there should still theoretically be enough room to navigate a tunnel around where an existing tunnel already is. So if you picture like a hub and it's got like all of these different tunnels coming off, those tunnels could be longer. They could have some level of, not gradient. What is it?
Like an incline?
Yes.
Or a decline?
Exactly. So that they're kind of all
that was my thinking.
Going to one thing. Anyway, it doesn't have to be further down or
it
up.
could just be a slight decline.
It could be, but it could be like a slight margin of difference would be enough to be able to get everybody over to, if you perfected it. I think you could do it.
Silo 51 or
it depends
silo 1
on how
or whatever
big this middle area is, but if it's got all 50 are connected to it, then I assume it's fairly large in terms of width.
You know what? Now you know how many silos. Now you know how long this has been going on purportedly, because again, the information that they have could be something that isn't accurate or true. But now that you know that, or think you know that there's 50 silos, that means only 500,000 people survived whatever it was that caused all of this. That's sad. That's 0.1% of the United States. That's 0.001% of the world. My math, it's a little off, obviously. Could be 0.005%.
It's a really small portion of the population.
Yeah. So, wow.
My thought is,
it's just a lot to take in.
What if they really even haven't been down there that long? What if they've been down there less time than we assume that they have? Because everybody forgets everything. So what if they're just being told that's the history and there weren't ever these rebellions every 20 years? What if that never happened? That was just misinformation to control people.
Well, Santa's getting his wish.
I'm just saying, shut up, Dave. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
I kind of said that just now, but I'm only joking because you're following me, Bridget. Following me, yeah. You don't get to be alone.
Who says like I just said that? But when did he say that?
Aliens.
When did he say that?
I just said that.
Did you think it?
Well, in terms of information that is given to us, that we're to trust it.
Okay.
You just follow my coattails. Just
okay. Just
keep going.
Okay,
yeah, it's fine.
Every idea you've ever had is secretly mine.
Because I just said that.
Because I've puppeted you.
Okay. This is okay. Who am I in this scenario? Okay, Dave. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Now I'm following your coattails.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let me get to the explosive connective tissue regarding this season, not just this episode.
Okay.
And it's beautiful. A great thing that we see in this episode is a flashback of young Jimmy Conroy at the door, looking through it and watching the sheriff we were sort of sympathetic towards in the first episode of the season.
I know.
But here's the thing. We saw the aftermath of that moment in the first episode. And it was this very confusing conversation that he had with his wife while he's looking at the mirror, wiping off the blood from his face. We just assumed it was from the conflict. She's wiping the blood off his face. And I'm going to give you the conversation right now.
Jimmy was a coward. Jimmy hid behind a door.
Open the damn door, shit!
Well, the sheriff held a gun to his father's head. All he had to do was open the door, and he didn't, so... Does that sound like the son of a hero to you? Russell would have been ashamed to have a son like that.
No, you're wrong. He would have been so proud because you did what he asked you to do. Don't open the door. Don't let anyone in. That's what he said to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know why he said that?
Because he wanted to save them all. Because he wanted to save the asylum.
No, Jimmy. He wanted to save you. He wanted you to live.
My hand slipped. I didn't mean to.
I know.
Why wouldn't he open the door?
He was told not to.
Do you think Russell was lying?
I don't know.
Well, there's one way to find out.
And if he was lying?
We're all dead anyway.
Sheriff says, do you think Russell was lying? Wife says, I don't know. Sheriff says, well, there's only one way to find out. And the wife says, and if he was lying? Sheriff goes, we're all dead anyway. Now, let me say the obvious thing first, is this ties together the flashback that we receive in this episode to that conversation, and that he did not mean to kill Russell.
His finger didn't
and you kind of
slip.
see it.
To me, it didn't look like
I think his
slipped.
finger did slip. He was struggling at the end, and I think he didn't mean to shoot him. It looked like he was remorseful.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's a cool little bit that you can kind of go back to the first episode and see
it is.
that.
It's nice to connect it. Yeah.
Let's move on to the question. Now, Russell basically says in his moment of terror, the possibility of his boy opening the door for the sheriff in the vault. He's saying to the sheriff, probably out of the goodness of his heart, at least in this moment, what was he telling the truth about? We all kind of assumed that. He said, it's not safe to go outside. Do we agree on that?
I mean, that's what we assumed it was.
Right. And if he's lying, we're all dead anyway. The silo will get ultimately flooded out.
Yeah. That, or he told them, my son is the IT shadow, and it doesn't matter if I'm in there or not. He will not let anybody come in.
That he was lying about it? Or he wasn't lying about that?
He wasn't lying about it.
Why do they need to get in there?
I don't know.
That's a good question. And what did they find out from whom that place was important enough to want to get in?
They did want to get in, obviously, but yeah, why?
But why?
Because now we know that's not actually the place where the information is. I mean, all of the information is, but it's not the information they're looking for.
It couldn't have had anything to do with the water pump. If the water was rising at that point, IT's not going to...
That's what I was thinking.
You need mechanical to fix the water pump, not IT.
What I mean by that is we're dead anyway was what I thought was the whole idea with the water pump. Well, mechanical flooded out. They purposely flooded out the silo.
Okay, so they did it. So mechanical is not going to fix the problem. But what does that mean?
They were trying to destroy the problem.
What would that mean for mechanical then? They're willing to sacrifice themselves to kill everyone else? How does that make sense?
I think they were hoping that
their
sacrifice would lead, because they had the same messages, well, more or less, that we see. Well, it's not Juliet Lives, but it is that other guy. I forget what his name was. Not Russell, but some other R name. Something lives. But there's also truth on all the signage, which is against the pact. Remember?
They're lying to us. Yeah.
Exactly. So they were hoping that by their sacrifice, the sheriff would get closer to the truth. And maybe the sheriff thinks that the truth, quote unquote, is behind that vault door and that they'll get close. And he's right. Sort of. I'm asking a difficult question that's probably easier than we think it is. I think now we have all the pieces to that conversation that he has with his wife, the sheriff and his wife. Russell basically says the outside world is unsafe. And if he's lying, well, we're dead anyway.
Or did he tell them the opposite and that it is safe and that's why they went outside?
Either way could work.
No, I think...
And he said, what if he's lying about it being safe? Because that's what I was thinking.
I'm willing to file this away into one of those boxes that, maybe there's more to this, maybe there isn't. Kind of like when Bernard says, actually, there's, actually, Lucas Kyle, there's 51, technically. Actually.
There's a lot about that silo that we still don't know about. And the thing is that we're probably never going to find out because we don't need that information. Okay, so Eater's mother was a baby. Who took care of her? There were more people originally alive in that silo.
There had to be, yeah.
What happened to them? There's other things that are happening. They wouldn't have been able to reproduce because they maybe didn't know about the birth control or how to get it out.
Yeah, maybe she was pregnant during the rebellion and had her from the start. No, that's impossible. Oh, no, wait.
Not if she was a baby.
No, that's not true.
What do you mean?
Not if her mother was a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who's her father?
And who's the father is someone who's not alive anymore.
Right.
We don't know. So anyway, there's more to
stuff that we could
because
find out.
A lot of stuff that we just don't know. I don't know that we ever will find out because we don't need to know. And once Juliet leaves this silo, we don't need to know anything else about this silo.
Agreed.
We don't have to care about it anymore.
Agreed.
Well, it's like when she leaves, that story is over.
Not my monkeys, not my circus.
The mini drama that already occurred is now technically in a way resolved. So that's kind of it.
Yes.
Now for that silo.
Between these kids and Solo. That is the conflict that mattered.
And finding out Solo's actual story.
Right.
And knowing that that was linked to a rebellion. And that's what will or could happen in Silo 18.
Yeah.
I just want to tack on a little bit to the AI conversation because the AI is trying to course correct. But it seems like every time it tries to course correct, some other X factor, aka Juliet for the most part, but also Paul Billings and all these other things, just seem to thwart the AI. I mean, I wonder, kind of like our conversation on From, is there a Faustian bargain?
This is going to sound really crazy, but maybe AI took over the world and it decided that it was going to poison our atmosphere so that we would be forced to live in this experiment where it would have all these test groups and then like a control group or whatever.
And we'd be forced to cooperate is basic, like an ant farm.
But stuff keeps coming up and it's learning this is what humans are going to do. So this is how I course correct. So we tried the thing where we put something in the water so that they would forget. And that worked for 140 years, but now it's not working any longer. So then it'll course correct for another silo. I don't know.
And that's interesting because I think maybe even Salvador Quinn got to that answer because he went to the tunnel. The AI gave him some suggestions of how to keep Silo 18 in line.
Maybe. I'm not really sure.
Because he obviously followed them.
I don't really know. Honestly, I was like, at the end of this episode, I was like, oh my God, I got so many answers. Did I? Did I? I got answers that don't really matter all that much. I got answers to questions that were like, oh, that's cool to know, but it doesn't impact anything. Still, there's 51 silos. Who cares? I don't care about the other ones. I care about this one.
Silo 18. Yeah. But maybe you should be caring about all of them. It's too much for the human brain, human emotion to really care about.
Well, also, we don't know anything about any of those people, so.
I only care about the other silos so far as to wonder if there are still people inside them.
That's kind of why I brought up the whole scale of having only 50 silos and assuming that there are 10,000 people.
Different in those ones versus 18.
I don't really care about that as much because that is something like you've all said that could be revealed.
It's too similar to Fallout, where
that's
they
kind of the danger.
One little thing and just see how it impacts. I don't like that.
Fallout did wild things between their vaults. It would be more interesting to me to see how similar things are and the little variances, kind of like Silo 18, destroying their relics and their history in order to survive. I care about it in as much as was why I brought the 500,000 people, possibly 510,000, because of the 51 silos, 10,000 a pop, and how... oh, that's the scale of this. That's how little people there are in the world. And when you think about your world, now I care. I mean, of course, I'm going to go back to Silo 18 like, oh, this is one I liked all along, eats popcorn. But occasionally the show does make you wonder, how did this happen? How did we get here? Because it is we. It's not just they. The tablets are very similar to our own. The AI recognition, the voice activation, very similar to what we have right now. The whole VR goggles thing that we saw a couple episodes ago that we didn't really comment on, just as Judge Meadows is dying. That's what we have. Yeah. It hits really close to home. And that's when it starts to kick in that maybe we should be thinking about everything in every silo and what happened to them. And if they are networked together, and we do know the fate, because he mentions this in the episode too, Bernard Holland, all the ITs are kind of connected together, basically is what he said, and which is what Bridget kind of alluded to. She didn't say as much that they were connected via tunnel, but were connected via network.
Okay, yeah.
So I thought that was nice that she was right about that, but she's not on here right now for me to tell her, oh, Bridget, you're so right about something again.
Bridget, you were right.
Yeah. And look at me. I'm so excited and happy for you. I am.
Joke's on you. I am here.
She was here the whole time.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, well, you missed my praise. Anyway.
I heard it.
You'll hear it in the episode. That's fine. No, I'm going to edit out you saying
Too
I
late.
heard
You
it.
can't take it. Can't take it back.
It's in her ear meat.
In her ear meat.
Mm-hmm. Ew. In there.
Okay. She said it. I didn't say it.
It did.
Ew.
A little bit of symmetry in this episode, too. Lucas Kyle goes to his mom. And he says this to Shirley, too, in a roundabout way. I wish I could have done more for Juliet. And basically comes down to, I told her my mom is the one I need to take care of, but I lied. She's like, I don't need any. I'm an independent woman, she says to him until he cuts her off like a man does, and says, "I was."
Well, she basically said, "You don't. You don't do anything for me.
You don't do anything. You're a terrible son, Lucas Kyle." How I identify with that, him being in IT.
Oh God,
and
Dave.
me not calling my mother as often as I should.
Oh
anyway,
no, Dave.
The whole point is that he says he's a coward. I didn't help her, but I also didn't harm her. I didn't do anything, and that kind of hit home. How many of us just don't get in the mix, that aren't courageous, that decide to preserve ourselves just because it's ourselves?
Bystander effect.
Yes, that's exactly it. Especially in a place like the silo where there's the pact. If you run too fast on the stairs or too slow, don't walk too slow.
That's worse.
For you, yeah.
For me.
Obviously. You were like in the writer's room going, yeah, about that. Also too slow? Okay, cool. Thanks. Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
That's my one. Okay, that's my one. I'm out. Later, guys. You finish up the pact without me. Anyway, I like that part because you see Lucas Kyle and his curiosity, and he knows that he's being dangerous right now in Silo 18. Charting the stars, he could get in trouble for all of this. The moment he really starts to realize that he is going to get in trouble for what she brought to his doorstep, by the way. Yeah, of course we do. We do the same thing. But the symmetry here is he's IT's shadow now. And Jimmy Conroy was technically Russell's shadow. He said he was sworn in. I kind of believe him.
I think out of like an emergency like situation, he was.
And to your point, this answers your question, Bridget, about he had to have been sworn in for the computer to be able to interact with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that he was a child when it happened.
The symmetry is they're both IT shadows, technically. They both thought they could do more for the people they love. Now, I don't know if Lucas Kyle loves Juliet, but he did care about her. He was enamored by her. Jimmy Conroy loved his father, and he thought, I have to keep this place running. I have to do this thing because he died for it. And I stood behind that wall as the sheriff murdered him in front of my eyes. And how good does the writing have to be to kind of construct a narrative that goes all the way down the line to meet at this point where you have this level of symmetry, where you have these two IT shadows connecting at the end, having this symmetry of feeling like they could have done more, but felt like they were cowards.
Well,
and you get the differences between the two, but it's cool to see that.
It is. They do have a framework in a novel, a series of novels being written before this. So it does lay out some of that for them already.
Bridget's like, F your point.
No, I'm just saying. Just saying.
I'm
like,
kidding,
give
I'm
credit
kidding.
where credit's due, you know?
Well, and that we feel it and that we believe it. They could have easily pooped the bed
Yes.
on that point.
Let's move on to the Knox and Walker thing. Walk is stuck in her workshop, as was the case in the last episode. Bernard does reach out to her via computer message and then messages her to say, find out more. And she's like, how? How am I supposed to find out more? You told me to stay here. You're an idiot. Unfortunately, Knox keeps coming to deliver information.
Did you get like AOL Instant Messenger vibes from Bernard? Like he was
A little
in
bit,
1995.
Yeah,
for sure.
Bloop.
Yeah, a little bit.
You remember the sound?
Yeah,
It's giving aim.
it is.
Just quoting Bridget.
Yeah.
Rude.
It's an homage. Excuse me.
I don't even say that anymore. I've
You
moved
literally
on.
said it in this episode.
Yeah, it's kind of giving, this is kind of giving those vibes. Like, yeah, it's kind of giving, this is kind of giving those vibes. I don't think so.
I remember you saying it quite a few times, David.
Yeah. I don't think it was me.
Me? I would
This
never.
episode.
It's
This
giving.
episode.
It's
No,
giving
you were-
something.
You were imitating Bridget
Oh,
by
yeah.
saying it.
Because
But I
I
don't.
heard her say it, and I felt like I needed to give it
I
some.
don't think so. Not this episode.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
moving on.
Anyway.
I've proved it already
wrong.
in the edit. So
It's fine. He hasn't.
Here we
so
go.
It's okay.
I'm gonna
Well,
mark it.
Boy, is his face red. You know.
Anyway,
Wait.
Knox.
Well,
This
before
is-
this, no. Before this. He tells Hank, I think I know who the mole is. I theorize he knows it's Walk, and he's feeding her false information.
I can't just give you a thumbs
Yes.
up. Yes, I'm
Yes.
with you
Okay.
100%.
100%.
And Bernard's sitting there going, like I did earlier
Yeah.
about the trap. I'm kind of in a trap.
Because that's going to be Bernard's downfall is his hubris.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go through that hubris for 1 second. Because the first tip off is, you don't usually knock. And that's kind of funny because his name is Knox. He knocks 3 times. It's funny when
It's
you write
not,
it down
right?
in
But
notes. Old man humor. And then the second thing is, I think it's Teddy's mom. And here I'm thinking, do we know that Teddy's mom is alive, first of all?
No, I don't think so. And also,
Yeah.
she would have to be for this whole thing to work. But what I'm thinking is, this is why I think he's lying. Because he doesn't want to play out any justice on it. He's like, she's just trying to protect her family. And the way he looks at her when he says it, he's speaking in code.
Mm-hmm.
He's speaking in the way that Bridget, let me read what he says in
Okay.
Bridget.
I saw the same thing you did, Bridget.
I hate this. I hate it. Listen to him laugh, cackle to himself about it.
It's Teddy's mom. she was just afraid that Teddy, you get it, will be killed. Can't punish her, get it, for trying to protect her son, get it?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, know what I mean, know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Well, no, now you ruined it. Because
Whatever,
wasn't
yeah.
that enough? Do you get it?
No, wink, wink,
Do you
nudge,
get it in
nudge.
Knott's
Know what I
voice,
mean,
but
know
it's
what I mean.
Bridget? I did like a
Yep.
side blend, is a hybrid. You get it. Well, I explained it.
Yes.
Yeah, you explained
all
it
got
very
it.
thoroughly.
Perfect.
I think someone on
Nailed
Mars
it.
got it.
I think I kind of hate myself right now, but it's par for the course.
I thought you were going to do it in my voice, so it was startling when you were like,
did it in Knox's
I
voice.
was like, oh.
Teddy's mom.
That's not what
that
Bridget
me?
sounds like.
Wink, wink. She was just afraid that Teddy.
Yeah.
Is that
No,
what I sound like?
no, but that was pretty much what
Yeah.
Knox sounded
I
like.
wish.
And
then
he's
I
like
portrayed it.
staring at her, like
Yeah,
very
it was the way
like
he said it.
To his credit,
Get
it
it?
wasn't obvious. So, no, there is a bigger question here. Does Martha get it? It's not clear that she understands that she gets it.
I think she did by the
I think
end.
so.
It's
Yes.
right near the
Maybe.
end. I don't think it is at the beginning. I don't think she understands at the beginning. It's when he looks at her and it's the line about she's just protecting her son
Yeah. What did he say? We can't,
we can't blame
punish
her
her.
for
We can't
trying to-
punish her.
for trying to protect her family. That
To
was
protect her
Because I saw it when he
That
said
was what
when
it
he
was.
when he first says, "I know who the mole is. It's Teddy's mom."
She looks afraid.
She almost looks afraid and a little bit guilty as he continues on. He gets to, well, we can't punish her for just wanting to protect her family. And then you see sort of a relief on Walk's face.
Mhm.
And I think that's when she gets it.
Or she could just be relieved that she's not going to be punished for
Yeah,
her
but Walk's
screwing
not the
her.
kind of person that's going to be okay with someone else being punished for her deeds.
Yeah.
She's not going to find relief in, oh, well, at least they didn't find out it's me. No, she's still going to feel guilty that someone else is being punished. So I think the relief came when she realized what Knox was actually saying. Shut up. Why are you stifling a laugh?
I'm doing my best to not pull a Bridget in
What?
phone. Well, we don't know that. That's a reach.
I think it's a pretty safe bet, though.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I do. And then the
I'm flattered,
smile.
really. He just really wants to be like me,
Right.
apparently.
Truthfully,
smile
it is
that-
me, but
Oh my
yeah.
God. Stop taking credit for everything. I just said that.
But I wanted to pin it on Bridget.
said that, you guys. Didn't you hear me just say those words?
Yeah, Bridget,
Literally.
you're always on my coattails, Bridget.
I'm not
Oh my
even
gosh.
talking. he's still like, Bridget, wow, really? You just always got to be like me, I guess.
Because
Wow.
I did the both voices. I did my voice,
Embarrassing.
then I did Bridget. Do we really?
gosh.
Anyway, it's Crazy Dave in the vault again with his hand puppets. And there's something so ominous about Bernard in these moments. And I'm over watching what he's actually doing. He's actually kind of expressionless, but in my head, because I want to see if you saw what I saw in your head, is you're seeing the perspective shot of him is a full-on forward profile shot, basically of him looking at the screens, watching this all happen.
POV.
Yeah, but it's
But
the
it's
frontal.
the behind. Okay, I
It's-
got you.
No, it's the in front. It's when he's looking
like
at all this,
we're
you
the
see his
screen.
face. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're the
okay.
screen, and it gets closer with each shot too. And as it gets to the part that he hears the plan, the rest of the stuff, the rest of the gunpowder we got from supply, you get it. We got a thing we're going to do something about, and then
We're going to use it.
and then you see that it gets in tighter. The shot gets tighter. Like the next cut is tighter with Bernard, and it's still expressionless. But in my head, he's going.
He does smile.
Well, no, he does.
He smiles.
It's the slightest, right? But is it
It's
my
enough,
head?
though.
Well, here's
No,
the thing.
He smiles.
He's
It's
smizing.
Subtle.
He's
smizing.
smizing.
I don't know if anybody remembers this term, smizing, but it's
No.
smiling with
Tyra
your
Banks
eyes. This is
term.
Tyra Banks' term.
Mhm.
This is a top America's Next Top Model term.
I saw that episode.
He
He's smiling.
he is smiling with his eyes. There is some glee, this light in his eyes all of a sudden, and you're like, oh
Like
my
this?
God, he's enjoying this so much.
Is it like this?
No, you're bad at it.
No,
You're
that's
Tim
like
Robbins.
glaring. What is that? No, now you're constipated. What's happening?
He
It's getting worse
just
somehow.
pooped his pants.
He does. There is a little like You see the corners of his mouth.
It does, but it's mainly in his eyes.
Slightly.
Yeah, it's mainly.
So I'm not crazy for saying what I said.
Not
That's
at all.
all
And
I
he's
wanted
like,
confirmation.
and he's like, like if he were speaking, he'd be like, "Gotcha." That's what he's thinking.
He'd be like, "Yes, my plan is going exactly the way I expect."
He's playing a David. You fell into my trap.
Like Skeletor.
Yes, exactly,
So,
precisely.
Yeah.
I want to pause right here because is there still a part of you that feels anything redeeming for Bernard in any way? There's a little bit of symmetry between he and Sims in that Sims in the last or the second to last episode says to Bernard, "You're running out of friends." And then in this episode, it seems never more apparent that it's Sim hating in others what he hates in himself because he has nobody.
True.
And he's only
Sims?
saying that so he says, "Will you be my friend, Holland, again?"
He's got his wife.
Bernard is becoming less and less likable as time goes on. He wasn't super likable to begin with, but he's becoming less and less likable. And then the other side of that is that we see the faces of the deputies when he's explaining things. It's like every time he comes back to them, it's another layer. And it gets to a point where you're like, really, dude? Really?
This is what you're going with? I mean, the first time around, I can get it.
Yeah, but it's like, it's gotten to the point now where he's like, yeah, Billings is on their side now. And they're like,
is he though?
They pointed the finger
really
at...
make much sense, but okay.
Yeah, the whole crew said it was his plan.
You're going to strip him of his badges? Okay.
So that actually goes to what Billings says in the cafeteria to Shirley, Knox, and who's the other one? Hank. Because it's exactly why they chose him. They chose him because he would fall in line. But everybody who knows Billings and all the little mentions before Billings even shows up on screen about how good a guy he is, and even Sandy, Holston's former secretary, Juliet's former secretary, Barnes's coworker, she really likes Paul Billings.
She does. Because she hated Juliet.
She hated Juliet.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Paul, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Can't wait to work for you." She's questioning in her own safe way to Bernard. That seems unlikely. But
yeah,
I thought he would appoint Molly Cairns. She's the Asian deputy as sheriff in the same meeting. And then it surprised me when he said, or maybe it shouldn't have, that he said they would leave the seat vacant, the sheriff's seat vacant. And yet he's taking all three positions. He's taken mayor, IT, and he's effectively sheriff.
Yes, he's running it. He's running it now.
It's an autocracy.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
That's where his problem comes from. He thinks he's so smart that he's going to be able to outsmart everybody in this whole thing.
But this was my point all along, Bridget. Though you said he's always 4 steps ahead, and there's a reason for that, and it's not the AI. Well, it's the AI that's in the legacy, the vault, etc., right? Because he must be he's getting the buzzes. Oh, there's a thing in the main shaft. I know things. You can see cameras, all that stuff, right? Let me go 4 steps ahead, if I might, because he doesn't have access to the tunnels to see the thing that Meadows saw, that Meadows does not want him to see. Because if he does see it, he'll get instructions on how to keep things in line in the most drastic way. And now I'm thinking, I think the AI is working against him because he's grabbing all these positions. And if he keeps grabbing these positions, it'll become too apparent that he is the enemy. And who was the enemy of the rebellion, according to the history books 140 years ago? The head of IT, Salvador Quinn. Right? Now, I contend that Salvador Quinn got the instructions from wherever that told him, you're going to have to do a couple things to save this silo. Hide the relics, put the forgetting compound in the water, and you're also going to have to make yourself out to be the enemy. Now, Bernard is playing the same game, only he does not have access to that IT tunnel. It seems like the AI is painting him, is making the moves to make him the enemy of the silo so that they take him out and they restore order again. Isn't that interesting to see? The game is rigged. Bernard is following the pact so closely, or the AI in the IT, in the server room so closely, that he's not seeing what it's trying to get him to do.
I'm not ready to say that because that's to say that it is 100% AI. And I'm not 100% ready to say that either.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's history often repeats, and sometimes what works will work again. So
maybe. I'm just saying, like, I'm not 100% sure that it's AI, so I don't know that I could go off and say that.
Yeah, technically we don't know that it's AI to begin with, but I don't know, it's feeling more and more like it is.
It's just something we kind of landed on. But I don't know. I'm not opposed to it. I'm okay with it. I think really, truly the issue is that he believes he is smarter than everyone else.
He has every reason to think that, though.
Sure.
Because he has more information.
Great. It's still going to be his downfall.
That's all I'm saying. I'm just articulating the manner in which it will be his downfall.
Great. I swear to God, writers of Silo, if you make it so Dave is right again, I'm going to be so angry at you.
We won't find out till season 4, but I'll record. This is staying up here. It's staying in the safe place. I will be
so mad.
Staying in the safe place, and I'll bring it up again. I'll play a clip of it. And also the part where you say, I'll be so mad. Will you be so mad? I think you'll laugh, actually, when you finally get to that part.
if it's 3 or 4 years down the line, I'm not going to care about it, honestly. So...
You had said Robert Sims, he has his wife. It's not like he's running out of friends. Like, does he though? Because he's the one who intercepts the message that was meant for Camille, which was about meeting up with Paul Billings. He says he has a relic.
Nope. He didn't intercept it. Billings sent it to Sims. He sent it to Robert because he says, I wanted your wife, but I knew that I could only get a message to you. Mm-hmm. He knows that he has to play this game with Sims in order to get to Camille. Now, the smart thing is that Camille, much to my surprise, is like, whatever side's winning is the side we're on. So she is willing to switch sides, which kind of shocked me considering her position prior to this. She works in IT. She was a raider. She is terrifying. So I kind of assumed she'd want to stay on that side. But I love this
She kind of said it before. She said, we don't know what side's going to win. We want to be on the right side. Mm-hmm. What's more interesting about that conversation is the fact that Robert is compelled to agree for the sake of our son, for the sake of the future. And she says, you could be the one who runs it. Mm-hmm. But he says also, nobody trusts me. They think I'm the boogeyman, all this stuff. The people that trusted Bernard, Amundsen, they don't trust me. The people in the silo, they're terrified of me. Mm-hmm. But you're the one who could do it. You're the one who can make that connection between the people that need to be connected, let's say.
Being self-aware is
the mids.
Valuable.
Also sexy, admit it.
It's a really valuable trait to have, to know where your strengths are and where they're not. I'm sure a lot of what Billings said really resonated, and that's why he was like, okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to be me. It can't be me.
Do you remember the end of that conversation?
When you see this, you'll understand why I don't have any choice but to trust you.
To do what?
But we all know what he's about to say, and it's the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't do it because it's like, oh, the audience is going, say it. Say the words. Oh, it's the right thing, right? I do this when I write songs sometimes. I'll end off the song without hitting the ending note.
Oh, you leave it unresolved.
It stays there. And then you're like, play the last note. Oh,
I hate it so much.
Unresolved chord progressions. Yeah,
I hate
it's
it.
not great.
I'd said that to Rachel a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. And I had the same reaction.
Had the same reaction.
I wanted to vomit. I hate it.
Well, the song was about being frustrated too, that you can't do anything right.
Well, then it makes sense.
So I sabotaged the song in the end.
By frustrating your listeners.
Yeah, feel what I feel.
It adds auditory interest to leave it unresolved. That's why people do
But the whole point is that your brain fills in the blanks too.
Yeah.
Right? Negative space, right?
Maybe your brain
That's all it is.
Well, that's why it irritates you, because you know what's supposed to come next. That's why you're
the
irritated.
last note is, yeah.
The only other thing I could say is how mean
Audrey was to eat her.
Yes, Audrey. Yes.
She was so mean.
So mean. Juliet's like, let's make a trade. And Audrey's like, we don't care about her at all. Kill her.
No. He says, we don't give a S about her.
Like,
wow.
What?
And forcefully too, with all her strength.
Her full chest. She
said
her
it
full
with the chest
into that.
She's a super hothead, though. Juliet's trying to say, like, I have to get information out of this guy in order for any of this to work. And she's like trying to take him out. Calm down for a second. Like, your man is like, okay, I understand you're upset. I'm literally going through the same thing, but you've got to calm down.
Was there any indication when Eater's mom/parents died? Did she give us that information? How long have Audrey and Rick been taking care of Eater?
I don't know.
Well, okay. So we do know that who took her in was Tess and Chase.
Okay, that's fair. Yes,
Correct.
she
And-
did say that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
glad you asked that question, Rachel, because it gives you a little bit more color to why they hate her so much. Sincerely. Because you're struggling. You hate that they call that this is her name forever now. You, as the audience, are like, that's really mean.
The parents aren't who started calling her Eater, right?
No,
it was
no.
Audrey and Rick.
That's right.
Okay.
And I like that there's an axe there in Rick from the show.
Right.
from The
Oh my
Walking Dead.
gosh.
Sorry, I had to say that. And so that's the thing. You're mad at it, but it's distracting you from the fact that what I said basically about the silo to begin with. Where's the food? Oh, there is no food.
Mhm.
They're doing their best to grow it. She's like, so you've never had to eat a rat
Eat a
before.
rat,
It's giving you this
yeah.
info, show, don't tell. It's giving you the information without giving you all the information. Then you get the
Mhm.
picture of why. I'm not saying it's justified. I'm saying this is why people died. They got sick. Malnutrition is probably a real thing. It was difficult to keep her around, but they couldn't justify killing her.
And you would
Let's say even.
prioritize the children eating over the adults.
Yourself.
I wanted to know where the rat came from.
Yeah, I did wonder about that. Maybe the tunnels are interconnected.
Bridget, you know better than you don't. It's fine.
Animals? We
Oh,
haven't seen-
wait a minute though. When they got to the silo, the door was still open, right? The outer door?
Yes.
But that doesn't
Yeah.
pass muster because the inner door
The
wasn't
inner
open.
door was airlocked.
Right. She had to pry that open.
Unless they were there from the very beginning and they started a colony. And you know what?
Oh.
Thank goodness that they've been down there for 352 years, basically, having a colony and living off of the silo. It's kind of like, how did they even get on ships? Well, they smuggled themselves onto a thing. And like, I'm saying ships from the time that was the only major transportation cross water ships. Instead
Yeah,
of
of
planes.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I mean. How did they get there? How did the rats get on ships? Well, it's like the cartoons. They went up the thing and
Or they were on the items put onto the ship. If they were transporting food or any kind of product, anything, the rats were already in there.
same thing with the silo. Oh, you know what? I just thought of a perfectly reasonable scenario.
What?
Well, no, same thing
They
with
don't
when they were
get
building.
shipments of things.
Well, no, when they were
Everything they
building.
have was-
Sorry, I jumped ahead way fast. I meant when they were building the silo, A. B, when they were getting things into the silo, they're building the interior, and when they're putting all the supplies in, all the stuff they would ever need in at least the initial years before they had developed an ecosystem. But that would make sense. And I was even thinking to the point where when you get the first people that enter the silo, the first 10,000 people, one of them could have had a pet mouse or pet rat or pet anything.
You'd have to have at least two.
They could have had actual science in the silo prior to, well, I'm not saying 18, but 17 might have had some form of science, maybe even magnification. Magnification is outlawed in silo 18.
Okay.
Bridget's making a face, but qualify that face. Because of lab rats, sorry.
It's a lot of ifs.
But what I'm introducing is the possibility is there. It's not that it's impossible.
But if you introduce one or two rats, it will soon be so incredibly overpopulated with rats. Look at Earth edibles.
She means orthobides, audience.
They don't care.
No, because you're still the apex predator. You can still manage the infestation.
With 5 of them?
You can't eradicate them. I'm just saying if you maintain an ecosystem whereby you have, let's say, rats behind glass or whatever, but let's say that place falls. Okay, so the rats are just going to do what rats do. They're going to
Multiply.
breed. Exactly. That's all I'm saying. So the possibility is there. All this to say that them calling her Eater, I'm not saying is justified, but I'm saying it gives you color to their struggle
No.
and how hard it's been for them.
It's understandable, but not justified.
Well, yeah, I get why they blame her.
They blame her for their parents' death. I mean, yes, just,
The urgency for them getting the code.
they call Steve Zahn the killer, but ultimately it was because of Eater that they had to go in and obtain more food.
That is so much more tragic an explanation or qualification of them calling her Eater. Because if you really think about it, for all these years, they couldn't get to that man. And I'm sure at some point, it seems like they forgot about him because he nenever left until Juliet came in. And so all these years, they put that inability to get to their parents' killer really on her. Because she was the odd man out in their family unit, if you think about it.
She's
Yeah.
So-
who they saw every day and reminded
As a drain.
them.
The show made that very clear.
Yeah.
It makes me feel a little bit more sympathetic because when you spell it out, I do feel a little bit more sympathetic to the idea of him putting their feelings somewhere that they shouldn't, but
Well, yeah, but the show makes that very clear. It's also intended to kind of mirror Steve Zahn. He was just a kid when all of this happened. Eder was just a kid when all of this happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's not honestly her fault. It's just that the blame gets put on her because a lot of responsibility was put on people who are too young. Same thing with Audrey and Rick. They're too young and they have to raise their baby brother and their own child and this other child that they view as the person who got their parents killed. So it's like all of this responsibility on people who are way too young and their frontal cortexes are not fully developed. It was obvious to me.
The only question that I have is, do you still hate Audrey by the end of this episode?
I think she's a hothead.
Yeah, I didn't hate her.
That's all I mean.
I didn't hate her.
Oh, no, I hated her.
For all intents and purposes, she's also a child of the circumstance. I didn't hate her. I just was observing how harsh and mean she was to Eder. It was just
When
an
did everybody
observation.
turn into Dave? I don't get it.
Well, it's the same thing. You don't hate Rick and Audrey's parents for going in and shooting Steve Zahn while he's is that horrible?
It's a perfectly rational thing, right?
Is that horrible?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. But they didn't view any other option working.
This was survival.
It's them or him.
You also have to imagine that they too were born after the rebellion, or maybe in and around. They definitely have to be younger.
I think so. Eder's mom was a baby when it occurred. So yeah, most likely they were very young.
I thought of you guys so vividly when Jimmy Conroy was explaining what had happened. Isn't that a scene from The Walking Dead? You get into the house and there's a threat sleeping on the thing, and then you're like, wait, it's the satellite station, isn't it?
So you take them out.
Oh, cool, I gotta kill them. They're the source of, they have everything, and they're not sharing it with everybody, and so we have to kill them. We have to kill him. But then you don't know his story when you do kill him. You don't know that he has a family, maybe. You don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
And you, the audience, don't care.
I think we can assume Audrey and Rick's parents were a little older than Eder's mom. If they're older than Eder, then it's safe to assume their parents were also older than her mom. Obviously, that does not have to be true, but...
Oh, no, I agree.
Yeah.
It's conceivable. And I was even thinking to the point where, again, they were both
they could have been old enough to remember the rebellion, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They could have...
I feel like they had mentioned that. Maybe. It's conceivable that they may even be younger than Eder's mom. Eder's mom could have been... I don't know. You know what? That's fine. We'll leave it there.
It doesn't really matter.
And not, again...
It doesn't.
Because
it ultimately doesn't.
I'm just saying their parents... We don't care about it anymore.
Yeah.
Once Juliet leaves, I ain't got a care in the world about that silo.
Unless they somehow go back to it to like save the people there. I don't know, the kids and their kids.
I feel like we'll go back there someday, like Kermit the Frog.
I don't know, maybe, but if they don't, someday. I also don't care.
They could, theoretically, it's a safe place where Juliet could escape to, should she need to. So maybe.
Well, and also it's an empty silo to pour a bunch of people who want to leave other silos into. Think about it. The top side is completely uninhabitable, barring all other ancient aliens theories, right? But there have to be other silos that have failed. And if the silos want to spread out,
be fruitful and multiply.
Live long and prosper.
That too.
Yes.
Wouldn't you distribute the remaining survivors of each silo among the ones that have failed? And then now you have something to work towards. You can rebuild those silos to work again.
Mm-hmm.
You could have something to live for. So I can see that as a possible, not resolution, and it sucks because I think deep down, everybody wants them to live on the top side. No, everybody, the world is back to the way it was again. But like in a Walking Dead universe sense where you're like apples and we write all the rules, so no more rules for us. We love that about it.
Well, but you got to be able to safely reach the other silos as well. They're going to have to start pumping out suits.
Hence the tunnel at the bottom. Not really.
Not if it only goes to one place.
Location.
Instead of all of them.
Unless it would be a hub spoke, so you could hypothetically
travel through it.
Head to that silo 51 or whatever, and then you can go to another silo. So technically you would be right anyway.
Yeah.
You imagine 50 doors down there?
Maybe. You walk into like a big open room and it's just like doors all the way around. With
or
numbers.
like a whole big silo, I guess. Why not? Like a whole other silo underneath all the other silos, starting from the top where all the doors go into.
Sure, why not?
Let me say what I wrote in my notes. I do not blame Juliet for not seeing the facts the way that we were able to, because she was hyper-focused on getting back. She did not put together that Solo was way longer.
Yeah.
And as a child, we put that together the moment we saw they went to the classroom. But I could easily see somebody on Reddit. It's so easy to see that comment in your brain already. Oh, she's so stupid. Why didn't she figure it out until now? That's such a plot hole. Dude, you don't know what a plot hole is. But I can see it. If you rewatch this season, first of all, you get the sheriff interaction with his wife, and now you understand it. Second, you do see that Juliet is so hyper-focused. She's waving, we can't call him Steve Zahn anymore. She's waving Jimmy Conroy away every single chance he gets. He's being so adorable. He's being his 12-year-old Arrested Development self, and she's waving this child away. You don't matter. You're an idiot. Stop it with your dumb stuff. And you're realizing she's so hyper-focused on getting back that she doesn't see the things for what they are. She doesn't see him for who he is. She's just a guy that could maybe get me the things I need. Somebody I can use to get what I want.
Which is why it's nice at the end that they have that moment. Well, she doesn't say it, but it becomes abundantly clear to him that she stayed to help him, even though she didn't have to. And he grabs her shoulder and she grabs his, and that's how they tell each other, thank you. That was such a great moment. Beautiful shot. The emotion is there. It was perfect.
I saw you.
Yeah.
And the only reason why she did is because she saw him. Eater helped her realize that too. She was about to do the same thing to Eater. She's like, you're useless, you're dumb, you're in my way, blah, blah, blah. And Eater asked the great questions. 2 names? What's that? Weird. I know. Rachel's making a pouty face. I have to say the things. It's sad. But had she not said that, she wouldn't have realized Solo. What's Solo? That's not even his real... And then she thinks back to the lunchbox. She thinks back to the classroom. And what's great about that shot, when she's in the classroom, it's from her perspective. It's not what we got in the previous episode. She sees him pull out the sweater and explain the things. And she actually sees him and sees what he was. He was a child.
I am Eater, asking the dumb things that make everybody think.
No, but, okay, Bridget, let's leave Rachel out of this conversation because she did not listen to us in the first one. I happen to find a lot of symmetry in what Eater was doing with what Lukas Kyle had been in the other silo. I saw curiosity, great ideas.
Natural
we could just
curiosity.
ask her instead of killing her.
Yeah, the other
Rachel.
perspective, the great perspective that you need.
Yeah.
You need
that you need to
thinkers
solve
like that.
mysteries. You see that we're berating you in a backhanded way. So we're kind of saying that we love you, you F-U-C-K.
Thanks.
Does spelling it out make it better or worse? I have no idea. I'm not bleeping it out.
know.
That's weird. Beep, 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 beep. What?
No, I
I
think
we're
so.
safe from the voice in the silo.
The algorithm.
I am the voice in the silo because I'm the one editing these things.
If you like what you heard.
Head on over to ratethispodcast.com/squawking-dead and leave us 5 stars and...
An axe.
Lunchbox.
5 stars in a lunchbox.
Oh.
And a lunchbox? Is there a lunchbox emoji?
Maybe 5 stars in a lunchbox to let us know that you loved us. Tell us that you didn't love us. Tell us what we missed. But just tell us, because every rating that you leave helps us, even if it's a bad one. So go ahead, rate your heart out.
And we may even read it out on the next episode, whichever one that was going to be. Maybe it's Silo. Maybe it's not Silo.
Maybe.
But we'll read it, and then we'll also post on the internet to blast you, not mockingly even. We love you, even if you hate us. And if you really like what you heard, head on over to either Ko-fi or Patreon and just follow. Because when you do, you'll get our recording schedules. You'll get notified when our recording schedules change. Following is free. Attending our recording sessions is free. Give it a shot. Join us in the chat. And you may even show up in the episode because if you ask a good enough question, we'll be like Family Feud. There's a come on down. Then we'll put you on screen for a hot second. We'll say, get the F out of here. Get out of here. And then we'll be mean about it. But if you really like what we're doing and you really want to support this podcast, you really want it to continue existing, because there's a chance that we may not continue existing. And that's your fault. You let the silo die.
Snap.
Wow.
You think I'm joking? It's actually kind of true, because, hey, listen, we don't want to say things in the world if you don't think it's valuable. If you think this silo should die, let it die. But if you don't think it should die,
help us out.
I wouldn't like it because I like to talk. So.
Yeah, give
we can
Bridget
still talk,
a reason
just
to
nobody
talk.
would hear us.
That's true.
Let Bridget berate me to my face. So tip us and you'll get 30 days access to our unedited episode recordings, as well as my pre-squawk insights, forever access to our Discord just from your tip. And if you happen to join a membership tier for as little as $4 a month, you'll get more Discord access. Join the Whispers, Survivors, or Great End tier, and you'll get a free classic t-shirt, among more Discord access, and a bunch more perks that you'll see clearly written out on either Ko-fi or Patreon. If you happen to join the Survivors or Great M tier, you can show up in this episode whenever you want, these episode breakdowns, lending us your insights alongside us to our faces. I've been your host, David Cameo, and I was joined by
Cosmom09
and Bridget. You can find me at ko-fi.com/punkybrewster, PUNKYBRUISETER.
How do our outros get longer and longer
I don't
and longer?
know. I don't
Every
know.
episode, our
Anyway,
outros are longer.
We can leave now.
It's like a glitch in the
Bye.
Matrix.
Yeah, bye guys.
You ask a question, then immediately you're like, I don't care about your answer, actually. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I guess. Thanks so much for making it to the end of this episode, discussing Silo's 9th penultimate episode of Season 2 titled The Safeguard. I just wanted to drop a little note here before I continue with the outro. Many of you already know that you can tip us and get early advanced access to our uncut discussions on either Ko-fi or Patreon the moment they're done recording. But what you may or may not know is that when we publish these episodes publicly, we often publish the version on YouTube first, and the one that goes out to all the audio podcast platforms ends up going a little bit after that, a couple hours. So consider at least subscribing to our YouTube channel. And if you do prefer listening to our podcasts on, say, Spotify, Castbox, iHeart, or any of the other podcast platforms, you can at least disable notifications. When you do subscribe to our YouTube channel, it really does help the podcast out in terms of reaching our goal of monetizing there, which makes it a lot easier for us to do what we want to continue doing, and I think you want that too if you're still listening this far. You can reach our channel at youtube.com/squawkingdead, SQUAWKINGDEAD. And to reach our unedited episode recordings, just head on over to ko-fi.com/squawkingdead and either tip us to get 30 days access to all our unedited episode recordings, or you can join a membership tier for as little as $4 a month on either Ko-fi or patreon.com/squawkingdead and receive them in perpetuity for as long as you're subscribed. And as always, we like to thank our supporters at the end of every episode. It's a perk that the Great M, Survivors, and Whispers tiers receive for their unwavering support. Starting with the Great M tier, the Greatest Ish tier, we have at @RealRyanGM on X and Instagram. In the Survivors tier, we have Douglas Atherton at WalkingDeadArtist2 on Instagram. In the Whispers tier, we have Ko-fi.com/fanartlindy, at ElizaJones71 on Instagram, and at Kim.Rowley, the number 1 on Facebook. We're getting really close to the end, and Silo is getting really explosive. I cannot wait to see what the season finale of Season 2 has in store for us. And the fact that we have 2 greenlit seasons ahead of us, I can't even wrap my head around what that even means. I hope you're enjoying Silo. I hope you're enjoying our coverage on Silo. And I hope that you remember that we are Squawking Dead.